Hello my dear friends, you're in the Military Summary channel, and in this video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous 12 hours. We have lots of very interesting updates, so let's start. And first we're going to talk about the conflict on the territory of Ukraine, where during the previous night, once again, both the Russians and the Ukrainians attacked each other using hundreds of drones. And first let's talk about the Russian attack. The Minister of Defense of Ukraine this morning reported that the Russians used 137 air vehicles to attack the territory of Ukraine, and today, for the first time since the beginning of the special military operation, we received the report that the Russians began attacking gas stations through the Kiev region. So as of the moment when I started making this video, we hadn't received anything on this matter. We're talking about videos or pictures, but most likely in coming hours we will receive first updates. If this information is correct, and if the Russians continue attacking gas stations through the city of Kiev, this can lead to complete collapse of energy infrastructure through this territory and may force the Ukrainians to begin negotiations with Russians. Another important thing is that the Ukrainians reported that in coming days, maybe even in coming hours, they will receive additional PAC-3 missiles for Patriot air defense systems from the United States. Zelensky stated that Ukraine will receive these missiles in coming days, and this situation signals that most likely within the same period of time the Russians will carry out a massive attack. If you remember, 3 days ago, the Americans reported that within the next 72 hours, the Ukrainians would be attacked by Russians. Furthermore, according to information we have, Poland also supplied Ukraine with 5 PAC-3 anti-aircraft guided missiles, which means that Ukrainians began preparing themselves before the beginning of the next mega attack from the Russian side. As for the previous nights, the Russians continued attacking gas stations, logistic hubs, and energy infrastructure of Ukraine. So let's discuss everything in detail. So first, let's talk about the city of Zaporizhzhia, where another gas station was destroyed by Russians through the eastern parts of the city. And this video we received this morning, and in this video we can see the consequence of attack, basically first seconds after the Russians attacked this gas station. And as you can see, as a result of attack, the gas station was destroyed. And this video shows us the situation probably when the fire crews of Ukraine managed to extinguish the fire. So minus another gas station in the area of the city of Zaporizhzhia. A bit further to the east we have a logistic hub, and from these satellite pictures we can see trucks in this area, and here we have report that the Russians attacked this territory with 4 drones. In coming hours we expect a video or probably pictures about the situation in this area. Moving further, the territory between the cities of Dnipro and Pavlograd, Dnipro-Petrovsk region, during the previous 12 hours, during the previous night, we received several reports that the Russians attacked 2 gas stations along the M30 road between the cities of Dnipro and Pavlograd. The first gas station was attacked in the area of this service center. I would like to remind you that several days ago the Russians attacked this territory with trucks. This situation happened on the during the 5th of July of 2026. So this territory was attacked by Russians with these trucks, and according to information we have today, the Russians also attacked a gas station in this area. Maybe this gas station was attacked also during the attack on this parking site. Who knows? But just today we received the video on this matter. Furthermore, the Russians destroyed another gas station further in the direction of the city of Dnipro, and here we have a video on this matter as well. In this video we can see a gas station and the fire that broke out right after the Russians attacked the territory. So we see that Ukraine's logistics continue collapses. Now let's move further and let's talk about the Kharkiv direction. Another gas station was also destroyed through the northern and the northwestern parts of the city, and we have this video where we can see the results of attack. We can see just first seconds after the Russians attacked this gas station. Most likely the gas station was damaged significantly. Furthermore, as for the northern and the northwestern parts of the city of Kharkiv, today we received a report about this gas station destroyed, and during the previous days we received reports about this gas stations destroyed and this gas station destroyed through the northern and the northwestern parts of the city of Kharkiv. The Russians right now are doing this with the purpose to destroy Ukraine's logistics and connections with the city of Zaporizhzhia, where the Russians right now are trying to develop their offensive operation and to force the Ukrainians to fall back from the city of Zaporizhzhia. A bit further to the west, in the area of the settlement of Krasnokursk, the Russians destroyed the Poshta terminal, the post office office terminal, and this is the video from this area. This is the pictures. As you can see, this building was significantly damaged with the Russian drones. So we see that the Russians continue attacking and destroying Ukraine's logistics, and they will continue doing this. And once again, for the first time since the beginning of the special military operation, pro-Russian sources reported that first gas stations through the Kiev region were attacked and destroyed by Russians. And this is exactly what we've been talking a lot about. So the Russians right now are moving their focus from the area of the line of combat contact deeper inside of the territory of Ukraine towards the central part of Ukraine. Now let's move further. During the previous 12 hours, during the previous nights, the Ukrainians also attacked the territory of Russia. The Ukrainians used hundreds of drones to attack in several directions. The Ukrainians launched drones in the northern direction towards the city of Moscow. The Ukrainians launched drones towards the southern direction. And the Russians, during the night, were repelling this attack. The Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation this morning reported that during the night, the Russians destroyed 376 drones. As for the previous day, the Russians destroyed additional 152 drones. So as you can see, the numbers are still high and much higher in comparison with the Russian side. As for the northern direction, during the previous 12 hours, we haven't received anything, but I would like to remind you that yesterday the NATO aircraft was conducting a reconnaissance operation in front of the city of Saint Petersburg. So this was something like a special operation, probably to force the Russians to redeploy additional air defense systems in the area of the city of Saint Petersburg to protect it, but the Russians probably managed to read the situation, so that is why the Russians kept their air defense systems through the southern regions, where the NATO aircrafts were also conducting a reconnaissance operation. And as for the previous nights, the Ukrainians attacked the southern regions, not the northern. And during the previous night, we received lots of updates about the situation in the area of the Sea of Azov. Several more vessels were attacked by the Ukrainian side, and today we start receiving first satellite images of at least two of the 35 tankers hit by drones in the Azov Sea. And as you can see, there is a oil thing on the territory or in the Azov Sea, which means that it's not just an economical problem issue for Russians, but it's already a disaster, a natural disaster. Furthermore, we received this video where we can see how exactly the Ukrainians were attacking vessels and tankers through the Sea of Azov. And here we have lots of drones of the armored forces of Ukraine flying over the territory and attacking the Russian vessels in this area. Also, during this video, we could see the Russian Su-30 fighter that was trying probably to bring down these drones of the armored forces of Ukraine. And according to information we have, between the 9th and 10th of July of 2026, the Ukrainians once again attacked the Sea of Azov, and the sources reported that the Ukrainians managed to hit 14 vessels allegedly belonged to the shadow fleet of the Russian Federation. As of the 10th of July, pro-Ukrainian sources still haven't published this video, but probably this video will be published in coming hours. Furthermore, the Ukrainians were attacking in the direction of the cities of Taganrog and Azov, and during the previous nights and this morning we received lots of videos with hundreds of drones of the armored forces of Ukraine approaching these two cities. As for the city of Taganrog, it seems that the Ukrainians were trying to bypass the city in the direction of the city of Azov. There were several targets that the Ukrainians tried to hit. The sources reported that the Ukrainians were trying to hit the port infrastructure. As you may know, all these vessels from the Sea of Azov can be loaded with fuel on the territory of the city of Taganrog, so that is why it seems that the Ukrainians were trying to hit the Taganrog terminal and so on. The Russians were trying to repel this attack, but as a result of attack, as you can see, probably several tanks or several facilities, oil facilities or fuel facilities were damaged by the Ukrainian side. In this video, we can see the city of Taganrog this morning, and we can see a black smoke over the territory of the port infrastructure. But the main target for the armed forces of Ukraine was the city of Azov and its chemical plant. And during the previous 12 hours, we received also lots of videos from this territory and lots of pictures as well. As you can see, the Ukrainians managed to hit and to destroy probably several oil tanks, and the Ukrainians also were trying to damage and to destroy the Russian chemical plant in this area. So these are the consequences of the overnight attack from both the Russians and the Ukrainians. The Russians continue attacking gas stations and infrastructure, logistic infrastructure. The Ukrainians continue attacking chemical infrastructure of Russia and the fuel and oil infrastructure of the Russian Federation. Meanwhile, the Russians are saying that the Russian Federation will no longer believe the West, that it wants negotiated solutions on Ukraine. The West is imitating readiness for negotiations on Ukraine, but now it has openly started issuing ultimatums to Russia. So which means that nobody is going to settle the conflict peacefully, and the Russians are not going to do this before the beginning of the parliament elections. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation on the ground. During the previous 12 hours, we received additional changes. And first, let's talk about the Velika Novoselovka direction. These days, we have changes on the ground in this area. For example, this is the end of the 8th of July. This is the end of the 9th of July. And this video was published by pro-Ukrainian sources. And here we can see 2 Ukrainian soldiers that raised the flag right exactly at this point. Later, this video was deleted from the original source. Today we received additional changes on the ground. Several pro-Russian sources reported that the Ukrainians continue improving their positions, and this is something like a breakthrough. And we have this video where we can see how the Russians, using multiple launch rocket systems, were attacking edge positions of the armed forces of Ukraine through this forest, which means that the Ukrainians managed to break through Russia's defense in this area and to dig in deeper. Right now the Russians are trying to stabilize the situation and to force the Ukrainians to fall back, but it seems that the Ukrainians are tasked to create something like a foothold to the south of the river of Volcha. We're talking about these territories, and it seems that the Ukrainians are planning to move further, much further, probably even in the direction of the city of Velika Novoselovka, in the direction of the main logistic lines between the cities of Gulyai-Polye, Orekhov, Velika Novoselovka, and so on. So we will keep an eye on this situation because we see that the situation develops very, very fast. Now let's move further. Let's talk about the Dobropillia direction, where several days ago the Russians began their major offensive operation, and these days we start receiving lots of changes on the ground. For example, this is the end of the 6th of July of 2026, and this is the moment when everything started. And starting from the 6th of July of 2026, the map has been adjusted almost every single day. And these are the changes on the ground. The Russians are moving slowly, but the Russians are moving. The Russians continue improving their positions on the territory of the settlement of Shevchenka. The Russians continue improving their positions through the eastern parts of the settlement of Dobropillia, and the Russians continue advancing in the direction of the villages of Vedyanska, Svetle, and Cherginovka. So there are very heavy clashes, but now it's clear that the Dobropillia direction is becoming the direction of a major offensive operation from the Russian side. The Konstantinovka direction. During the previous 12 hours, we start receiving first updates from the pocket between the cities of Konstantinovka and Chasiv Yar, and this video was published by pro-Ukrainian sources, and here we can see how Ukrainians were attacking Russians with FPV drones, and several military experts reported and several sources confirmed that now the Russians are rather tasked to improve their positions through this pocket, basically to cut the pocket, than to move further in the northwestern direction. Now the Russians are trying to maintain the lines to take on the complete control of the territory between the cities of Konstantinovka and Chasiv Yar. So that is why there are very heavy clashes right now for this pocket, but the Russians will not move further in the northwestern direction until they finish the battle for this territory. When the Russians finish the shortening of lines, then they will continue moving further. The city of Kramatorsk. During the previous, since the beginning of the 8th of July of 2026, we have already received a dozen of updates when the Russians were attacking gas stations through the city. For example, this gas station was destroyed by Russians during the 9th of July of 2026, and this video was published by pro-Russian sources. This gas station was destroyed during the 9th of July, and this gas station was destroyed as well. We have the videos published by pro-Russian sources. sources. In this video, we can see another FPV drone attack, and this gas station was damaged. Furthermore, the Russians destroyed several gas stations through the western and the northern parts of the city. This gas station was destroyed during the previous night, and the video was published during the previous 12 hours. Another gas station was destroyed through the northern parts of the city of Kramatorsk, and we see that the Russians are trying to destroy the logistics of the armored forces of Ukraine through this territory, and the Russians are trying to create the situation when the Ukrainians will be completely out of fuel. And the most important thing is that most likely after the Russians finish destroy gas stations through the cities of Slaviansk, Kramatorsk, and Druzhkovka, the Russians will move their focus further, and they will destroy every single gas station to the west of this agglomeration with the purpose to create the situation when the Ukrainians, when the moving in the direction of the cities of Slaviansk and Konstantinovka would be a one-way ticket. Through the western parts of the city of Kramatorsk, also the destruction of another gas station was recorded, and this is the moment when the Russians attacked this gas station that was published by local sources. So the situation in the area of the city of Kramatorsk continued deteriorating for the armored forces of Ukraine. The Russian ground troopers are trying to advance in the direction of the agglomeration, while the Russian drone forces are trying to destroy logistics and fuel depots and so on. Moving further towards the northern directions, during the previous 12 hours, the Russians reported or continue reporting about the clashes in the area of the settlement of Volokhovskaya. And these are the changes on the ground between the dates. This is the end of the 9th of July, and this is the end of the beginning of the 10th of July. As the group of forces north reported, the clashes right now are taking place for the villages of Volokhovskaya, and we see that the Russians began advancing in the direction of the village of Zakharovka, which means that the Russians right now are trying to semi-encircle the city of Belaya Kolodez from many directions and to improve their position significantly, basically to break through Ukraine's defense and to move further deep inside of the northeastern parts of Kharkiv region. Now let's talk about the Sumy direction. A very interesting report was published by the group of forces north, and today for the first time since the beginning in the direction of the city of Sumy, the Russians reported about 2 more villages where street clashes began. The Russians reported that street clashes began on the territory of the village of Prokhody, so this is the eastern Sumy direction, and the Russians reported that the clashes also began on the territory of the settlement of Magritsa. It seems that the Russians managed to answer the settlement of Magritsa from the northeast, and this is a very important village in the direction of the city of Sumy. So the Russian Sumy offensive operation accelerates, and in coming days we may see additional changes on the ground. And that's it for the short video. The military summary channel remains to weaken the many violence in the world. Thank you for your watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes to my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.